This video is about Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot on screen now, but that is not where we're starting. We're starting with this post from Boeing. During today's agency flight readiness review, NASA decided to autonomously return Starliner, just for the record, that is a Boeing spacecraft, from the International Space Station. And they've posted a quote as a picture. We continue to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft. We are executing the mission as determined by NASA. In other words, Big Daddy NASA said, listen, fucks, we do not feel safe putting crew on your Starliner spacecraft, so we'll bring it back without any people on board because we don't want to risk their safety. You can see Boeing had nothing to do with this decision. It's come from NASA, and don't worry, I'll explain what this has to do with Tesla in a moment. And we are preparing the spacecraft for a safe and successful uncrewed return. Now, in case you guys don't know, at this point, there's a couple of astronauts trapped on the International Space Station. Of course, that word is not being used, but that's the case. They went up there on a Boeing Starliner, and then Boeing discovers a number of issues. I think there was issues with thrusters and also helium leaks. Not good. NASA's like, you what? We ain't putting people on that. Get fucked. Now, strategically omitted from this post, the words SpaceX. How are the crew getting back? Spoiler alert, they're actually going to hitch a ride on a SpaceX mission in the future. SpaceX, who've developed a reliable craft that has brought cargo to the International Space Station many times and also crew to and from. Now, here's the announcement from NASA. After extensive review by experts across the agency, NASA's Boeing space crew flight test will return with an uncrewed Starliner. Astronauts Butch and Sunny are scheduled to return to Earth the next spring aboard Crew 9. Interestingly, no mention of SpaceX. Of course, there is a good reason for this. There's a bit of a revolving door scenario between NASA and Boeing, bit of a circle jerk going on. They don't want too much egg on the face of Boeing, but this is incredibly embarrassing. Now, more context. In 2014, a decade ago, NASA awarded Boeing $4.2 billion to build Starliner, the craft that has now left crew stranded on the ISS due to safety issues. And it has 0 successful crewed flights thus far. In 2014, NASA also awarded $2.6 billion to SpaceX, weird, to build the Crew Dragon, weird, and it has had 13 successful crewed flights to date and counting. Well, hang on a minute. Let me do some math here. I'm not very good at numbers, but 2.6 seems to be less than 4.2. Kind of weird. Boeing was awarded an additional 60% in terms of funding to do the same fucking job. That's weird. Literally an extra $1.6 billion. So strange. Why would they do that? The actual answer, by the way, is because Boeing is an extremely inefficient, relative to SpaceX, clusterfuck of a bureaucratic dumpster fire of a company with some decent engineers. But guess what? You know where most of the world's best and brightest aerospace engineers work? Yeah, at SpaceX. This is a perfect example of resourcefulness and the power of elite talent with great leadership doing incredible things for almost half the cost. SpaceX gets awarded a fraction of the money, gets the job done better and faster. Boeing, still unsuccessful in getting the job done. Let's watch this short clip from the All In podcast for more context. And yes, I promise you, this video is actually about Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot.
I just want to talk a little bit about the history of this project and provide a little context before we highlight the particularly acute story of 2 astronauts being stuck in space right now, which is an incredible story. So this is a next-gen space capsule that was designed to take people to and from low Earth orbit, basically to the ISS. And NASA, if you guys remember, in the 2000s, decided to stop making their own vessels, and they're going to start using third-party contractors. So they went out and had a competitive bidding process. And ultimately, in 2010, they gave both SpaceX and Boeing the winning contracts to develop these commercial crew transportation capabilities. SpaceX obviously developed the Crew Dragon capsule. So it was unveiled in 2010 as the CST-100, Boeing's first commercially developed space capsule. The company would take on all the financial risk for developing it with a fixed price contract from NASA of $4.2 billion. To date, by the way, Boeing has taken a $1.6 billion financial hit on the development of this program. SpaceX, by the way, won a
So in case you missed that, despite the award of $4.2 billion, Boeing has already lost money. So hang on a minute. That means that thus far, to date, it's already cost Boeing $5.8 billion, and they still haven't succeeded. How embarrassing. This is what happens when you're an engineering-driven company competing against a Musk-led engineering-driven company. You lose to an embarrassing degree.
$6 billion financial hit on the development of this program. SpaceX, by the way, won a $2.6 billion contract to develop the Crew Dragon capsule. And just to give you guys a sense, the Crew Dragon capsule has flown 13 missions thus far to the ISS. And this was the first crewed mission flown by Boeing, both of which got contracts at the same time. So originally it was going to be a 2017 launch timeline. And I just want to hit on some of the history of the Starliner problems. 2016, it was delayed.
You said, just to confirm, you said it was $4.2 billion, that contract.
That contract with Boeing to develop this Starliner capsule. So the first issues arose in 2016 when there were design problems. The first crewed flight was then pushed back to be scheduled for 2019. In 2018, they found issues with propellant leaks, which led to more delays. 2019, a test flight parachute failed. December of 2019, they had their first uncrewed test flight, and there were software errors that would have caused destruction of the spacecraft. This led to NASA and Boeing submitting 80 different changes that needed to happen before they did their next uncrewed test flight.
Now, just to be clear and fair, you're going to find problems during the testing process. That's the entire point of testing, right? If you're not finding problems, you've probably fucked up. You're probably going to find one later when it really counts. However, it's how quickly you can identify and resolve problems that matters. This is an important second step after your design. Find the shit that's broken, that needs to change the issues, and fix them. It appears that Boeing has major challenges on step 2, finding and, importantly, fixing problems in a timely and cost-effective manner.
So they then pushed that all the way out to 2021. Boeing ended up saying it cost us $500 million to do that. Then in August of 2021, 13 propulsion system valve issues were discovered on the launch pad. The flight was aborted and the capsule was returned. They eventually got it up again in space in May of 2022, and it docked with the ISS, and it returned back to Earth. Even though one of the parachutes failed when it returned to Earth, it still made it down. This again led to the 2023 first crewed launch, which means people are in the capsule. This was originally supposed to be in 2017, and they kept pushing it back because of more issues with the parachute system. And then they finally got it launched in June 5th of 2024 with 2 astronauts on board to go to ISS and come back. On the way, they discovered that 5 out of the 28 maneuvering thrusters, which is how they can move this capsule through space to get it to dock with the ISS and ultimately make its way back to Earth, were malfunctioning. They have now discovered 5 helium leaks. Helium is stored in a pressurized system to actually control those thrusters and make it move through space. And now they may not even be able to get this capsule to fly off of the ISS.
And of course, the news we covered earlier broke since this clip. NASA has decided, in the interest of the safety of their astronauts, that they will not be returning on this piece of shit. They will be hitching a ride with SpaceX. How awkward and embarrassing for Boeing. Now, this is a very public, clear, and super embarrassing example of what happens when a crew of elite engineers, led by Elon Musk, enters an industry. Doesn't end well for the incumbents, but don't worry, that's got nothing to do with Tesla. All right, now, Tesla's humanoid robot. Saw this clip with the title, "The Man Taking on Tesla in the Race for Humanoid Robots" with Brett Adcock. Wait, Brett Adcock, that name rings a bell. Wait, I think I know that guy, yeah. That's right, I keep seeing people saying that Brett Adcock has blocked them on Redlick. Both Figure, the robotics company, and Brett Adcock have blocked me on X. Another one, I got blocked by Brett for zero reason. I was even bullish on Figure 2. Makes you think there is something fishy going on. How to get yourself blocked by Brett Adcock in 2 steps. Brett Adcock is giving me Trevor Milton vibes. We have a new Trevor Milton in town. Another one, called Brett Adcock out and asked what the terms were on his loans for his pool of investors, offering startups, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, cool. Someone else blocked by Brett Adcock. This one from Alex. Brett blocked me back in February. Do you know which other founder CEO also systematically blocked all critics on his platform? Actually, no, I can't remember. Wait, what's this? Nikola Corporation. You're blocked. Can't follow or see Nikola Motors posts. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now. There was that guy, Trevor Meltdown Milton, who I personally had never interacted with, but likely somebody possibly forwarded a video of me pointing out that, well, I mean, we know how this all ended, right? And then out of nowhere, Trevor Milton's personal account blocks me, and so too the company's account, which that gives, I mean, look, I can understand if you're an extremely fragile CEO of a company and somebody says something mean or accurate and uncomfortable on X, rather than muting them like a 200 IQ person would do, because then they can just yell into the abyss, you instead send a signal to the person, you hit a nerve, bro, I'm blocked. So dumb. But to then immediately log into the corporate account and also block the same person, I mean, it's kind of a red flag. By the way, Trevor, I never did go clean that beach. If you know, you know. Don't drop the soap, by the way. And apparently, Tesla Boomer Mama also blocked by Brett. Brett himself declaring he'd blocked someone. Another one here, Brett also blocked me on here without any prior interaction. So, not saying that there's anything going on here, but like I said, that name was ringing a bell. I thought, I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before. So, let's hear from Block Adcock. Wait, I think I mispronounced his name. Anyway, regarding Tesla and his humanoid robot project. By the way, do you guys now know why I was talking about the Starliner Boeing stuff before?
That right. It's just too difficult. I mean, it's like getting the iPhone 1 right and getting everything okay. And I had the iPhone 1 and it was just not the greatest phone in the world. But like iPhone 3 and 4 were like certainly the greatest phones in the world. Same for cars, right? Like the Tesla Roadster, probably not the greatest car in the world. And I have 3 Teslas now. They're incredible. Probably the best car I've ever had.
Unquestionably accurate. Great products. Although, first Roadster, not perfect.
So we basically want to be on this continuum of like rapid like hardware iterations where we're basically looking at different heuristics of things that we need to mature over those hardware continuum and making all like necessary improvements so that the hardware is at some point like very mature. And I think our first generation hardware figure 1 was mostly trying to get roughly the architecture trades right. So all the details of like the engineering system for, as a batteries example, what is the energy? Is it going to be hydraulic? Is battery powered? What type of battery cell chemistry? From there, what type of cell? Is it cylindrical? Is it prismatic pouch?
Interesting to note the importance of nailing the actual batteries, the cells, the form factor, the chemistry in a humanoid robot. And now onto the juicy part. Tesla's competition, in quotation marks, on the Optimus humanoid robot, getting a lot of discussion. Figure, right? A lot of people talking about Figure at the moment. To be clear, Figure AI, by the way, AI is a great thing to have in the name of your company. Well, I mean, if you want funding and excitement from investors, just saying. Maybe Tesla should rebrand to Tesla AI. Maybe that'll... bad idea. Okay, let's see what Boeing has to say about this. Figure has to say about their humanoid robot efforts relative to Tesla's efforts.
I am curious what how you think about Optimus and Tesla and Elon. I know you have great respect for him as an engineer and entrepreneur. What are your thoughts there?
I just have to be, so inspired by what Elon's done in the last 20, 30 years. It's been just unbelievable. I think they're doing a great job at Optimus, and I think they have a really good engineering team. I think they're making really good progress, and I think they're directly heading in the right direction.
So far, completely agree on everything Brett has just said. Great team, making great progress, doing the right things. Totally get it. 100% agreement. Is there a but coming? Because I have a big but, but I'll save that until after Brett's comments.
The vector for where we need to go as a society to integrate and build humanoid robots, I think they're following a very good direction. So I think they're going to be, a really real competitor with us. I think the world needs them out there doing this, I hope they do really well.
So it's interesting. The leader of a company's focused specifically on humanoid robots, acknowledging that Tesla's Optimus is going to be a very serious competitive product. Please don't tell any of the Tesla Q-virgins who said that it was a joke, it was a non-serious attempt, they'd never succeed, and so on.
I think we're at a point in time where the window has just opened now for humanoids to be possible. I don't think it was really possible 10 years ago.
Absolutely true. Battery energy density high enough, battery costs low enough progress with computation, and importantly with AI, quantum leaps forward with computer vision. It really is only now that an intelligent, useful, capable, generalized humanoid robot is possible.
So, it's going to be a little bit of a race here to get volumes out the door in terms of manufacturing and you get the AI training sets built.
Dude's correct on both counts. Manufacturing speed and scale, very important. Does Tesla have any experience on high volume manufacturing of products that include batteries and computers? And fancy that, they do. And also a race in terms of the actual AI efforts. Again, Tesla, massive experience here. So far, no lies detected. Now here's a question, just asking the question. If you're leading a company and engineering AI company and you had to pick the one company you didn't want to be racing against, what are the odds that company would be Tesla? The one company you do not want to be competing with is the company that Figure AI are competing with a humanoid robot. By the way, I love competition. Competition's great. I'm just saying, bro, anyone but Tesla, please.
And deployed on the embodied systems. And yeah, it couldn't be a more important time to make this really work. So yeah, I think overall, just like very, I think they'll do very well, and I'm very glad they're tackling it.
A very diplomatic and honest answer. By the way, I just noticed on Peter's shelf, there's like a mini Peter. That's fucking weird, bro. Anyway, very honest and accurate comments from Brett. Credit where it's due. Hope he doesn't block me for saying that. Now, the one thing that I don't know whether Brett's willing to acknowledge out loud or even maybe he doesn't think it's relevant, but it's very important. But of course, I'm just like a small-brained guy who makes content on the internet. So what would I know? But with that caveat out of the way, I personally believe that in order to have a generalized, not specialized, not narrow capabilities, but generalized, useful, like broadly useful, broadly capable, and importantly, intelligent humanoid robot, to be clear, increasingly capable and increasingly intelligent over time, it obviously needs to have a humanoid form because it can slot into the whole world currently built for humans, but it also needs to have nailed vision. Never thought I would see the day, folks, but here we are. We're currently looking at a fairly basic map of the motor and sensory regions of the cerebral cortex, the brain. You could argue that not all of these will be absolutely necessary, at least for early iterations of useful, intelligent-ish, generalized humanoid robots, but eventually they will. The green region here, the visual cortex, the visual association area. This right here is something that Tesla has developed over the last almost decade with a fleet of millions of vehicles collecting data through their suite of sensors on roads in the real world that they have effectively been able to transplant into the Optimus humanoid robot. It's taken quintillions of miles, not even really exaggerating that much, and close to a decade to almost solve this piece of the puzzle, to build this piece of the brain. And without this, nothing else really matters. You may be able to achieve very narrow capabilities, but it's fundamental. Lacking vision makes it very difficult to see, perceive, plan, and act in the real world. So my question is, given companies like Figure AI and anyone else that doesn't have access to essentially the visual cortex, e.g. Tesla's FSD, how in the flying fuck are they going to build this part of a brain? Now let's continue. Over here, broker's area for production of speech. How will this be solved? Any ideas? Oh, wait, I know. Grok, XAI. What about understanding speech? Oh, wait, Grok, XAI. In fact, what about the entire auditory cortex? Oh, wait, I know. XAI. By the way, actually important for Tesla vehicles in the long term. Being able to hear emergency vehicles, not just see sirens, but also hear, going to be important in the long term. Okay, so let's see here. Tesla, in the bag, already built the visual cortex. Partnership / collaboration / licensing from XAI's Grok, going to solve all of the language and auditory stuff, including hearing, like the whole lot. So what's left? And again, question, does Figure AI have access to something like Grok? If so, how much are they paying? So what's left? We've got sensory association, primary sensory cortex. Think of this basically as the hands of the robot in this particular context. This whole area, they're on pretty even footing when it comes to this, Tesla and Figure AI, right? You got to develop the hands to learn how to use those, to have finesse, fine motor control of the hands. You've got to have very, very fine sensors, especially in the fingertips, right? This is very important and obvious. You also, to the left of this gigantic area in terms of, just imagine this as hands and fingers, pretty much, for the human robot. By the way, I can't wait for the neuroscientists to post me in the comments. And now, the primary motor cortex, locomotion, movement, not the fine detail, the fine finesse, but the high-level stuff, the helicopter view. To its left, however, also important, the somatic motor association area. While moving, while locomoting, this is coordinating your limbs and making sure that you're not completely useless, falling over in the corner and asking for somebody to help. These all essential for useful, generalized humanoid robots. Not all necessary for very narrow capabilities, but if you want a generalized humanoid robot, you need everything here. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't yet covered. The prefrontal cortex. By the way, I still can't believe I'm doing this. By the way, if there's any brain nerds, you know, and anyone wants to learn more about the brain, some starting places, 2 fascinating books. Check them out by V.S. Ramachandran. Phantoms in the Brain and The Telltale Brain. I'm sure he's written a few others as well, including some textbook type of things, but they are absolute must-reads. So what's left? Prefrontal cortex. What's the purpose of the prefrontal cortex. Well, it turns out I almost misled you guys. The prefrontal cortex actually embodies a number of regions we've already discussed, including Broca's area, which is for speech production. Shout out to Grok. In fact, this region is responsible for just about everything that makes us us. From speech formation, which, clearly, imagine I wasn't able to speak. Hello. Working memory, also very important. Planning, decision making. Why are those words, planning and decision making? But hang on, didn't I talk earlier about Tesla having already solved vision, which includes seeing, perceiving, planning, and acting in the real world? Yes, for the 3 people still watching. My point here more broadly is that Tesla has already solved large portions of this map that is necessary for useful, generalized, increasingly intelligent humanoid robots. And some pieces of this puzzle are simply impossible. Yes, that's a big word, a dangerous word, but I firmly believe it, for other companies to solve without the data. And the data in Tesla's case has come from the fleet. Unless somebody wants to start pumping out, let's call it 10 million humanoid robots this year to start catching up and deploy them. Who's going to pay for that? Good luck. Maybe they could acquire the data and eventually solve vision as well. But Tesla has a huge head start and a couple of the missing pieces of the puzzle like language. Guess what? Grok. My broad point, Tesla has either already got the most important pieces of the puzzle in terms of the brain, and importantly, others are not going to be able to get the same pieces of the puzzle. They can get some, but not all. And additionally, the remaining pieces, they can license or partner with XAI's Grok. Job done. This is not true of any other companies trying to produce useful humanoid robots at scale. Then there's the whole producing at scale thing that Tesla has a lot of expertise in. Again, any other humanoid robot startups with experience producing, let's say, 1 million plus complicated battery containing, electronic containing, software driven devices per year? I can't think of any. Now, the last thing, the story of Phineas Gage. If you know, you know, and if you don't, well, I'm about to blow your fucking mind. God damn, that was the best pun in the world. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. Can you hear it? Ready? Dude, that was pretty good. On the fly too. Now, Phineas Gage was an American railroad construction foreman, remembered for his improbable survival of an accident in which a large iron rod was driven completely through his head, destroying much of his brain's left frontal lobe. Remember that picture earlier? The frontal lobe on the left? That shit. Believe me, I am building to a point. And for that, injuries reported effects on his personality and behaviour over the remaining 12 years of his life. Effects sufficiently profound that friends saw him, for a time at least, as no longer Gage, so major personality changes. By the way, holy fuck, dude, on screen now, that's just... When I heard this story years ago, dude, I could not believe it. It's just wild. Okay, now, on to the mental changes and brain damage. Prior to the accident, apparently, he was a great favourite among his colleagues, one of the most efficient and capable foremen in their employ. That was from his employer. However, after the accident, employers considered the change in his mind so marked that they could not give him his place again. So, what is the point I'm making here? It is possible to have portions of the brain missing, absent, damaged, injured, yet still retain a humanoid form and have the outward appearance of being comparable to all the other humanoids around the place. However, if you dig a little bit beneath the surface, it turns out that keywords here being useful appears to require all of the pieces of the puzzle. And my strong belief is that companies that aren't Tesla and aren't able to transplant the brain are not going to have the visual cortex completely nailed, if nailed at all. And I think they're going to have a pretty hard time developing generalized intelligence. And if that's the case, these companies are going to have a very hard time mass producing a bunch of Phineas Gages and having a hope in hell of competing with Tesla's mass-produced, vastly superior, far more intelligent, and increasingly capable Optimus humanoid robots. But what would I know? I'm just some dumbass on the internet. And to be clear, the more competition, the better when it comes to humanoid robots. But I personally just cannot see a path to solving this at scale in the same universe in which Tesla exists without the data and the expertise that allowed Tesla to have thus far solved about 99.9% of vision in the real world. Just something to consider. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.